Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. And yeah, I've been pretty lax with these bench videos, but we're picking up today because I've got a backlog of stuff to do with the MCX Spear from APFG. Now, we did take this on the range and you've seen it, and I did order some parts that we're going to try and improve the hop setup in this replica. So hopefully you can stick around me today. We're going to pull this apart. Never took one of these apart before, so you're going to have to bear with me just a little bit, but hopefully it's not too much of a bother. We just need to find the correct tools to take these screws out, which I think is a T15. Alright, let's get cracking. I believe it's a T15, yes it is. We'll just quickly spin these two screws out of the rail here. And we'll quickly get this taken apart. And I'll show you what you get in this little kit. So hopefully we're upgrading the hot parts, making the gun perform a little bit better. I do need to find out a barrel for this. So I do have a couple of barrels dotted about here and there, but I need to confirm what the size is. So what are we stuck on? It's stuck on that piece inside the rail. We've got a piece on here which I'm pretty sure is not standard, with a slightly rounded out screw, unless it's imperial. It's imperial, I think, so we're going to use that anyway. This was bought like fairly new second hand, so the bracket on the back here looks very strange. I don't think it's M-lock. There we go. Yeah, that's not M-lock, is it? But we can bin that off. Still getting stuck on something here, unless it's just tight. Oh, we got some purchase there. I think it was just a bit sticky. It's this plate, I think. It's like a piece of plastic, and this was getting wedged on the rail. So we've got it out. So with these, they have a carrier system where you've got your adjustment here. As you spin this, you'll see that bar moves, which then engages the hop, which is what we're going to want to switch out today. So I'm going to turn it all the way off. I'm going to take out these two screws here. That's a T27. So we'll spin these out here. Try and keep this as concise as possible, but again, like I say, which many people seem to gloss over, I've never took one of these apart before, so I'm kind of learning myself as I go. So I'm going to pull them off. It looks like we've got a pin that goes through. Is that easily pushing out? Yeah, push that pin out, and then we can pull the barrel system out like that. We could split that away from the upper receiver. Got the carrier system here. Not entirely sure how this all comes apart, but you can see it's very greasy. So let's take these two grub screws out, which I think looks like a 2.5. No, it's 2. 2 more Allen key. Well, we won't loosen them off because it just spins. Let's get out something a little bit more precise. No, that spins as well. So that's either been rounded or it's just so heavily glued in place. It goes in okay. Now the back one will spin. So the front one's stuck, as well as my screwdriver bit. Let's just loosen that out. So it seems like this one is rounded. What can we get away with? Rounded screws is becoming like one of them things that just seems prevalent on a lot of guns nowadays. There we go. Just using the old Torx trick with a T9, just tap it in so it sits in place. Gives you plenty of purchase. Now, let's get these two grub screws out. They are Loctited, but they weren't Loctited very strongly. It was just that grub screw. We couldn't get any engagement on the Allen driver, so which you can tell because we can't get the screw off. There we go. So those two grub screws out. Are we going to need to do anything else, or will this just come out? We might need to loosen something up, or will it pull that arm with the assembly? So that might be bottoming out. So what we can do is we can basically tighten this up. I think that also bottoms out. Very strange. So we might have to strip this piece apart. It looks like two pieces. We do have two grub screws here on the actual outer barrel itself. Let's delve in and have a look, shall we? What's the worst that can happen? Let's get a Phillips. I've heard very good things about these parts that I've bought, so we will see. I did have the hot parts delivered, but I didn't have any hot rubbers, so I had to order one in, which I've just gone with a Quantum because that's what everybody recommends with these things. So that's what we'll use. Hopefully when we've upgraded this we can get better results than what we did with the version 3. So we took those 3 screws out. Do you require anything else, Mr. Hop-Up, or are you going to split apart? Are you going to play ball? Yep, there we go. So that's starting to split. We might have to remove these on the barrel as well. 1.5, 1.3. 1.3 is too small. 1.5 seems perfect. So pull these out. These aren't rounded, which is nice. Funny you should say that, you know. These aren't rounded, which is nice, like it's a feature. So we might have had to pull them out first, then slide this out. I'm not entirely sure. That looks like it's threaded on. So we've done the 2 grub screws there. There is a pin here. So let's try popping that pin out as well. Try and keep track of where all these pins are going. So we'll tap this one out. There we go. So tap that one out. Will that then come off? No, it won't. Will it allow us to pull the adjuster out? Will it allow us to spin that freely? There we go. Spin that freely out. That relieves that, which relieves that. Oh no, does it? Okay, we'll leave that part on. The arm can then slide out like that. We can then remove the outer barrel. Wow. Now we know why we might be getting not great results accuracy wise. I mean, I have had good results out of short barrels before, but I didn't realise the inner barrel was that big. So interesting. So we're definitely going to have to put an end pass in this now, because it's going to be overpowered. So we relieve the one side of the shell. This is a bit reminiscent of like the MPX with this plastic piece that goes over. We've got an arm there, and we've got a hot rubber, little piece that goes over the hot rubber, and we can pull that out. So I'm going to have to test some barrels. Now I do have a couple of barrels here. This is a 265. This is a unicorn barrel. Now these unicorn barrels nicely come with hot rubbers, but we're obviously going to be trying the Quantum in there, so we can keep that hot rubber to one side, and we can always try that at a later date if we don't get better results. Barrel wise, I think we're going to have to test this. So it sits in about there. What we're going to do, we're just going to slide this inner barrel in like that. Then I'm going to slide this in and just like that, and then this should give us, so the barrel comes just like an inch before, which I think will be good enough. So it saves me having to order another barrel. I think a 265. You're probably looking at like, what, a 285, a 300mm barrel for this. But this is going to give us more than what we need. So this is the r.h.d kit. This was torn off like this when I received it. I bought this from ProAct store in Taiwan. It did take a hell of a long time to turn up. I also bought the hop adjuster for the KS1. I get a nice little sticker here. And in this kit, we're basically replacing a lot of the hot parts. So it does give you a nub, which we do get one with the Quantum. So we'll be putting the Quantum one in. We get a little spring. The spring is for the hop arm, which will hold a normal style nub. And then we've got a different style of adjuster here. This is all very nicely machined. What is it machined out of? I think it's aluminium or stainless. It's not steel. This one, probably aluminium or stainless as well. So we get the adjuster that will then sit in place with this, and you basically, instead of the carrier being corkscrewed up here, it's being adjusted with a screw down below. So we should get a lot more adjustment on this. So we've got the adjuster itself, we've got the arm, the main arm, we've got the hop arm, and then we've got these pieces here. Nothing else in the box, don't think. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our Quantum rubber, brand new one. We're going to use the nub that comes with it, because why wouldn't we? Take the Quantum rubber out. We're going to have to clip the side sort of wing off the hot rubber. So where are my clippers? There they are. So we'll take this, we're going to clip this off. Be careful not to go too far into the hot rubber to cause an air leak. So that is fairly neat, to be honest, for a cut. Just going to pull the little bits and pieces off there. So we take our hot rubber, we can push it onto our unicorn barrel. These are not stainless barrels, I think they're like zinc coated or something. So I'm going to take the little O-ring off the original barrel. I'm going to pop that onto the end of the new barrel, like that. We've got our little piece here that sits over the hot rubber. We need to make sure the hot rubber is centered, which it is. Place this over, and then what we're going to do is this will go in here, like so. So that will situate that part, that will situate the barrel. And then what we need is the original hop arm. We're going to take that off. Look at the engagement on this hop arm. It's very, very small indeed. I'm going to pop this pin onto the new part, which you can see the actual full name of the brand there, Red Hammer Defense. We're going to use our little nub that come with the Quantum, and we're going to use the little spring which came with the hop kit. So the spring's going to sit underneath there, and our nub is going to sit in that little carrier there. So let me try and place this first, and then I'll show you what's going on, because we might have to do a bit of finger gymnastics here. So that's all in. Place the nub on there. We've got this with a spring. So the nub's in, pin in. We need to center the spring on the arm, which has got stuck. It's kind of odd with that spring because it's going to sit between the two casings, so we need to be sure or be careful that we're not interfering with that. The nub needs spacing a little bit better. Before we put that on, let's carefully place that there. Let's get a cloth and clean this up. I'm going to place that in like that, and there we have it. So we've got hop rubber, hop nub, new arm, the little spring, new barrel. And when we put these two together, Should sit in nicely like that. We do want to check the hop tension and make sure that's all straight. Just going to give it a bit of a wiggle. I'm going to take the outer barrel. Can we wiggle it in? Yes, we can. Screw this onto the barrel base like that, which will hold that together. We take our screws, 1, 2, probably should have screwed this first, but as long as you keep it all together it shouldn't matter too much. Take your little Phillips, screw these back in. Make sure you don't cross thread them. If they get stuck, what you want to do is just back them out so that you feel the click. So that will hold that together. And then the way this system works is inside you'll have your arm that sits like this at an angle. And then obviously with the original one you've got this plastic arm, and as you screw that in it basically puts pressure on there, levering the arm, which we're basically doing the same thing with this setup. It's just going to hopefully be a lot more accurate. See, the fit is very good. So before we get that far though, we need to put these tiny little grub screws back in. I'm using a 1.5. So 1 and 2. You won't need to torque these down a lot. Just nip them up, just to stop your barrel rotating, like that. So that's on there. You can pop this in anyway. I don't think we need to put that in yet because what we're really going to have to focus on is this. So this should hopefully mean that taking this apart is a lot easier. So we can line that up with the screws like before. Just loosely put these in to hold it in place with your 2mm Allen key. That's the one that spins. Let's get the back one in. One had more of a point on it, didn't it? I'm not going to re-Loctite these in just yet because we might have to come back in and of course change any components if they're slightly off. So we're going to put the adjuster in now. I'm guessing this is the way it's done. We take the actual intermediary lever here, situate that in place, so you can see already we are slightly off, which probably means we're able to rotate the outer barrel back a little bit further than before. So I'm going to back these screws off. Grip screw please, come on. T9 wasn't it? So I'm going to back those off. That should enable us to centre it. So what we're going to do is we're going to screw this onto the arm. Looks like this O-ring is going to go maybe into the centre. We've got a little notch somewhere that we need to line up. Where's that little notch? I know it's not incredible for you right now, but there's going to be a notch in this arm which stops it moving when it's rotated. I need to grease this up a little bit, get it free moving, spin that back out. So there's the notch we need to worry about. So what I'm going to do, get some, is this oil or grease? It doesn't really matter too much on the O-ring, on this bar, just to help it slide in. It's fairly sharp this is, so you just need to be careful with that. There we go, that's lined up, so the O-ring's just popped in the front there, and we've now got the gap for the pin. So we can tap this pin back in. And now that should be nicely set up. We can align this by checking it here and there. Use the Torx just to get a bit more purchase on these screws. I think I will replace these. So there you have it. Now this is fixed in place, and when we rotate it, which it's very difficult to do, more difficult I'd say than the original. You could always use a flathead and come in and rotate it like this. So we can turn this that's all the way off. Check our hot rubber. It does look a little bit off center. So if you can see that, you might not notice it on camera, but it looks like it's almost applying pressure a bit more on the right side than the left. I'm just going to give it a bit of a prod and a poke just to try and align it, make sure it sits in place. And we're going to turn the hop on now. This is going to be a much sturdier adjustment compared to the original, which was already slightly difficult to adjust when the rail was on. So I'm just applying hop now to see where the engagement is, and we are engaging more on the right than the left. So you might be able to see that. See the hop's like at a bit of an angle. See if I can change this. You see it's a little bit off, so that's going to have to be put right before we go and use this thing. I'm not sure why it's applying pressure from one side more than the other, but if you follow those steps and yours is perfectly aligned, you should be good to go. And basically you would have that back together. You don't need to worry about the original hop adjuster parts. It's just a case of taking your barrel setup, putting it back in your receiver like that. You pop your pin in, pop your clamp in, use your Torx to tighten these back down. I'm not going to go silly because I'm going to have mine back apart because this is already like a half hour long video. Put that back in, slide your rail back on and give it a test. So we're going to get a massive power increase because we've elongated the barrel now. This is on the standard non-end pass valve, so we're going to have to change that. It does have the threads there for a restrictor, but there's no restrictor in it. So I'm going to strip this back apart off camera, make sure that's all center aligned, come back, fit it up, chrono it, fit an end pass, and then what we can do is we can take this thing back on the range, because that's where we're going to see any increases in performance, or is it worth saving your money and just putting in a new hot rubber and barrel. So just as a tidbit on the end here, you can see the nub is slightly catching the outside section. So let me try and point this out. So you've got the recess in this hop arm where the nub sits into, and then you've got these two walled areas. Let me try and focus you up. And it's basically sitting on this walled area, not in the little socket. So I'll try and see if I can center this. So just when you're applying this, you just need to make sure that your nub is perfectly in that little pocket. Otherwise, you're going to get some crazy side hops. So yeah, just a little tip at the end. So thanks for tuning in as always. Hopefully that was easy enough to sort of follow along with. I'll try and cut it down best I can. But any questions, put them down in the comments below. Thanks for watching as always and supporting the channel. Check out links in the description. You can find one for the Discord, get involved with the A community, and from me and Bench, we'll be seeing you in the next one.